Hi guys, so you guys are gonna have to bear with me. I have my points written down in this book because I have to refer to them. I wanted to make this both educational and also based on my experience, so I had to write down a lot of the points, which are very important. And if that picture looks blurry and funny and it looks weird because you can just see the bottom half of a woman, it's Marilyn Monroe. It's her poster, so ignore that. So I wanted to talk about 3 points. If your target is to make $100 a day, what 3 points I think you should know, which is like your strategy, how much you should have in your account, volatility, and which pairs to trade. And I also wanted to talk about why it's a bad goal. Like obviously, if you're starting out, it seems like a great target. I also had that target in mind because I was like, listen, if you're consistently profitable throughout the whole year, why can't you just make $100 a day? It seems simple enough, especially since you're consistently profitable. But what that means to be consistently profitable is that you're turning over a profitable year and not a profitable day, right? So if you turn your target to daily targets, you'll find that your performance will be worse off than if it's a yearly target and not a daily target. And so the two are very different. So first quarter could be negative, second quarter negative, third quarter negative, fourth quarter negative, and which is why over a year, even though the first, second, and third quarter is bad, the fourth quarter could make up for the entire 3 quarters, which is why it's a bad target, and amongst other points I had written down. But the first point was a strategy, and picking the correct strategy or suitable strategy, not only for your personality, but also one which is day trade suitable. So obviously, a trend trading system wouldn't be appropriate because it relies on large, consistent movements over time, and you want to have a target which is daily. So that's going to be inappropriate. I would advise you use something like a divergence strategy with the TDI indicator, and then I use the 8 moving average to help with setting my stop losses. Because if you set 35 pips as your stop loss, you can be guaranteed that you're going to keep getting knocked out. So I use the 8 moving average. Not to say that that's my target daily, but I'm just saying if you want a strategy that works and which is suitable for your target, divergence strategy with the 8 moving average. And then you need to pick up fundamental based strategy. And the reason why I put that right here was because you need to take advantage of volatility. If you're going to set a daily target, you want to take advantage of volatility. So there's no point in having something which isn't volatile because volatility is movement, and that's what creates the big spikes, and that's what creates the big movements in your account. So you want to pick something which is fundamental based. Obviously, fundamentals push volatility. Number two, the pairs. So obviously, if we're talking about volatility, you need to pick volatile pairs. I used FX Street. You can use FX Street investing.com to create a list of the most volatile pairs. It's quite simple. There's actually a tab which you can use to create your list and just run through all the pairs and then create a list of the most volatile pairs. For example, my list has Euro Rand, US dollar Rand, gold, US dollar MXN, and all the exotics. So all the exotics would obviously top the list. Only probably losing to first place maybe the Rand, but in most cases the exotics are what you're looking at for. And obviously, if big volatility equals big moves, and then obviously big bucks. It's quite simple. Volatility is risky, I have to say, which is another point I'll get to on why it's a bad target. Because if you're focusing on volatility and big movements, it's really risky. I'm not someone who you want moderate volatility, but you don't want volatility which is so risky, especially if you're new, and it ends up being too risky for someone who's new. But if you're someone who's experienced, who's looking for big moves, and who sets this target, then obviously volatility is your friend. It's what you're looking for. Um, we talked about the the exotics being the most volatile pairs. Oh yes, the most liquid pairs are not volatile. So your Euro USD, Pound USD, Australian dollar CAD, the common pairs. So the pairs that are load as soon as you get onto your MT4, those pairs that are automatically uploaded are not volatile. They're the most liquid, but not the most volatile. And Anton Creel did a long video on volatility on this topic, and he talks of basically how it's a ploy by the brokers to make sure you trade the most popular pairs like Euro USD. They're the most liquid for them. And so what tends to happen is they're not volatile. So they're most liquid but not volatile. So what ends up happening with traders is that they end up over leveraging and increasing their position size in order to make more, when in fact what you need is volatility to make more and not bigger sizes. You need volatility to make more and not bigger sizes. And so you see people over leveraging, increasing their size in order to create volatility, which isn't there. Anton Creel talks a lot about that, and blowing accounts because of using the pairs that the broker gives you. Be very aware of that. And then size of account. If you're gonna aim for a target which is as big as that, $100 a day, you want to make sure that your account can take a hit that same size. So if your target is $100, you want to make sure that your account can take a hit of $100, and you want to also make sure that when it takes a hit of $100, that it's only a small percentage of your account, which is obviously good risk management. So you want a bigger account so that when your account takes a hit, the size of your target is actually a small percentage of your account, and it fits within your risk parameters. So, for example, if you have $1,000, that's still insufficient because one losing trade of $100. Say your target was $100 and you made a loss that day. If your account is $1,000, that's 10%. Here's where it gets interesting. And if you're targeting 100, and say you say to yourself you trade 3 times a day, right? That's actually times 3. So you're down 30% of your account. And if you trade every day, you know you could have a string of losses for the next 5 days. So you've just lost 30% in one day, 1/3 of your account, and then you're blown by week 1 or 2, and you're completely out the water. So the right account size I have here is $10,000. Because if you lose 100, then it's 1% of your account. And I've just been listening to one of the seminars by Lex Van Dam, and he was actually like saying that if you trade more than once a day, that's actually worse for you. Like, you shouldn't be trading more than once a day. We're gonna get to that, but you shouldn't be trading more than once a day, which makes this target very difficult. Because if you take a loss, most people want to revenge trade, and then they start seeing good trades even though they aren't any. So you'll take a hit, and because you're day trading, you'll be like, you know what, let me take another position to make up for the loss of the day, and somehow it starts to look nice. So you increase your size to make up for the loss and to make up to hit your target. So the right account size, like I said, is 10,000, which is 1% of your account. And then, like Lex Van Dam says, don't trade more than once a day. And the reason why it's a bad target and why it's difficult, close to impossible, to make $100 a day, this is just based on my experience. You can go try it out yourself, but you'd rather not. You'd rather not have a daily target, and you'd rather make your target yearly target. So say 30% a year is better than trying to make $100 a day. It's purely based on consistency and realistic results. So the aim isn't really to make 3,000% or 300% or go from 100 to 1,000. That's not the goal, and it's not consistent. It's not maintained. You can't maintain that. It's going to do more harm to your account than anything else. So you'd rather have a yearly target. Secondly, 10,000 is a very large amount for the average person in order to do this the right way. That's all I'm saying. And then you end up seeing things every day because you're trying to hit your target, and you're under so much pressure to hit your target. You end up seeing things that just aren't there in order to hit your target. I don't like the idea of being a day trader just to hit your target. And the problem with that is, like, day trading is very difficult, especially for the average beginner. Is really, really difficult. It's like giving someone a Ferrari who's just earned their driver's license. Bad idea for the average person. And this is just a psychological thing about taking hits and revenge trading, which is, can you bounce back after making a loss that day, or are you going to revenge trade? So I put that as another point, revenge trading. And I'm like, why would you put yourself under so much pressure to hit a daily target when you can have a monthly target of $2,000? Because that amounts to $100. on average. So why would you not rather have a monthly, a quarterly, or yearly target? And then you got into trading because you wanted freedom, and now you have a new job, which is you're stuck to your screen trying to trade three times, one time a day, instead of giving yourself what you wanted, which was your freedom, and taking more of a longevity approach to this. And most important point is that ranges can last for up to 2 weeks, based on my experience itself. So, excuse me. So you're gonna be forcing yourself to take trades when they just aren't any, and especially if you get caught in a range, it's gonna take you 2 weeks to get out of that range. So you'll get caught into a range Monday morning, February the 3rd. No, February the 1st. Monday morning, February the 1st, all through to February the 14th is how long the range could last. And then the cost to the broker, well, the cost to you, which you give to the broker. So essentially, the more trades you take, the broker makes more from spreads. So essentially, if you place 20 trades, you pay broker spreads on each one of those, and then you also pay the broker for swaps and holding your positions overnight and weekends. So essentially, you're just throwing away money to the broker. And then psychological reasons, most important, because I've just watched Lex Van Dim's webinar on this, and he was like, listen, your mentality is everything. And if you go through decision fatigue, because you're making so many trades and decisions every day, the quality of those actually diminish over time, which goes into the economic principle of diminishing, the law of diminishing returns, which is your first good performances will be good, your first few actions will be good, and as time goes on, a graph is your performance just dwindles and dwindles and dwindles, which is the psychological aspect. And if it's 80% of trading, you might as well just stay away from it. That's just my opinion on this.